everyone. So today I have a journal layout to share, but I'm starting with this reference journal to show you the updated version, and that's where the title will be. I haven't written it in yet. I made this journal to reference the Your Creative Studio box supplies, and it just has pull in and out pages with an easy twine elastic binding. This is where I found a nice place to hold my little bookmark from this month for now. And I just thought I'd share how I decorated the front because I had it blank. And so if you want to see that, I'll pop, well, the original and how I made this, I'll pop a link up in the right-hand corner of the screen. And you can see what it looked like before, which was pretty plain. So here's another little journal that I have that also has an easy twine binding where I can pull in and out the pages as I choose. And that's where I got this paper from to work on with this month's supplies. And so the great thing about that is when it's fully decorated and say I have a journal that it would go perfect in or one that I'm going to be creating, I can just move these pages over there. But for now, that book just has Your Creative Studio box supplies that I'm working with. This is my corral of the supplies from the March box, and I'll try to put a link into that other journal if I have a video for it up in the corner as well. So this is this paper here. I think it was like some kind of presentation paper or like for like awards and stuff. It's printer paper, but it's got that gilding and it has that kind of warm tone to it, which I thought would go great with the supplies this month because there's a lot of warm colors with the yellows. So you can see that first I just used the washi, and then I'm pulling out the stamp here and some oxide inks, which I thought the Wild Honey, I mean, it goes perfect with the title as well as the color. And I'm going to use that to stamp the background of this page and make sure it stamps first. And then I didn't get the leaf perfectly, but you know, that's how it is, and it's okay. And the bottom of it's just covered up by this fold. So it's kind of a pocket page, and I could either stitch those sides or glue them at some later point, but for now they're loose. And then I have this other bee stamp with the honeycomb, and I thought I wanted a little more brown to go with that vintage theme, and so I'm bringing in some brown here. And you might have noticed when I was pulling the washi, I'm not crazy about the bee theme. In fact, there's a bee on the washi that I find a little bit creepy with the big eyes. So I just kind of was strategically tearing around. So there are bees in this layout, but it's not so bee heavy. And you can use these supplies and not be a bee and not have all bees. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, you might also notice if you're barely paying attention to the details that I had some paper leftover residue behind this post-it note because this is my second attempt. The first one just, it didn't look good. It wasn't going the way I wanted it to, so I tore it off. And I didn't even keep that footage, but just know this little idea didn't go perfectly the first time around. I was thinking I wanted to use it as like a flip-up journaling space, and so that's why I'm scoring that little edge there, and I'm just going to have some excess that I trim off. You can see I had folded it over to the other side, and I just didn't like how it looked. And that happens a lot, and so you can just change it. And there is a little bit of residue, but you know what? You can cover it up or hide it in any way, or you can just roll with it. That's why I love the vintage style, because it's very forgiving for that sort of thing. So moving on here, trimming off the excess. And you'll see that's another reason why I kind of did a bonus page on this layout, is because I have that little spot on the back side. So there's my little flip up spot, and then I guess I'm looking at these stickers, but eventually I will get to using those. I really wanted to use some of the tissue paper, so there's I did cut out a lot of me flipping around with stuff. Now this piece came in a previous box, and it was the backer card for a product of something. I don't even know which one, but I loved how the colors went with my layout, and so I'm thinking of just making a little journaling card here. So I pulled out the papers that came in the paper ephemera pack, and I thought this was a great neutral, and yet it still can cover up that writing, that product information, but you can still add a picture on, or journaling, lots of things that you can do with that subtle background pattern. It's got a lot of texture and depth, but it's not so crazy that you can't use it for whatever you want. So I'm also inking the edges. I like that style. And then I should have corner rounded first, but you know, that's how I roll. I mean, so then I just have to ink the parts that I chopped off right there. And I really like how this ink, I think it's gathered twigs, I'm not sure, it's an oxide ink. It's just what was on my desk from the stamping. I love how it goes with the printed vintage look of that card there. So that's it for this little piece that I'm going to add. And then I'm still trying to use that tissue. It comes in later, trust me, but just not on this little spread. So then I think I'm going to move on to this side and figure out what I can do to cover that up. I pulled out the little square papers that came in the box and really liked how this one had some color, but it still kind of went with the colors of the other side. And then I just got this idea. I think I'd seen somewhere a heart flip out in somebody's journal and I thought it was really cool. So I'm just hand drawing the heart shape using the fold to keep it symmetrical and trim it out. I should have trimmed just inside the pencil line, but I don't know. I think I missed some pencil because I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to lay it on here yet, so I do have to erase that. I hate covering up some of that beautiful color, but I didn't know what I was going to do with this page yet, so I liked having the white or off-white side to write on, and then I still have and I wanted the color to show up next to the other page, the back of the page, that other very yellow layout. And so you see here, this is going to achieve covering up my other mistake pretty well. There's still a little bit of paper sticking out, but eventually I will go and ink, and I don't even think you can notice it after all that. So you see, it just kind of, it adds a little bit of another dimension, but it's not actually part of that other page, but it's nice color if you want it to see. So here I am trying to play with that tissue paper again and stickers, and I also loved this dandelion paper from the little paper booklet, and I was trying all kinds of things to use that. Eventually I decided, all right, I'm just going to commit to a piece of this tissue paper here and stick it up in the top left there. Get that nice and stuck down. The glue stick works great to get that on, but you have to kind of be careful because, I mean, for me, I tear it easily. So then I had this piece of vellum, and I think one of my subscribers or viewers talked about they always use glue stick with the vellum, so I'm giving it a go here, and it worked pretty well with my Oohoo glue stick. So I always have I'm so messy, I get it everywhere, even with this little paper, but the little piece of paper is pretty handy to at least help me corral the mess when I'm creating. And so and then you see how it curls up. It's tricky stuff here, but so it makes it easy to spread the mess when it's flopping around like that. But again, I use the little paper to spread it down. That way the glue, if there's any glue seeping out, it doesn't get on my fingers, which when it gets on my fingers, I transfer it all over the place. And things stick, and it's a disaster. So here comes the washi again, and I'm just finding a place for it. I can't remember, I think I put something else there first. And yes, bring in this lovely polka dot paper again, and I'm trimming down a little piece, and I'm going to cut just a little banner tail, pennant tail in it, and glue it next to that tissue paper. So I'm going to have kind of 3 similar color tones here with the tissue paper, the paper, and then the washi. And I've got 3 different kind of textures going here also. So the ends are different too. So we got the banner end and then the torn edge. And I really like that dimension that gives, or the variety, the depth, I can't think of my words, but here comes the ink again, and as you can see, it does a pretty good job of camouflaging my other boo-boo. So it just becomes part of the distressing and not that's the thing, is you don't want it to stand out. And I don't even think you would know it was there if you didn't know it was there. So that's great. And again, I finally find a place for my little dandelion picture. Oh, there were so many of those little papers that I just wanted to use everywhere, but they're challenging in that they're small. And so, if you want it to be the focal point, then you've got to if you have a bigger page, you've got to build it out somehow. So again, that polka dot paper is really working in these pages, and I just use it to kind of help this dandelion picture to stand out from the vellum behind. I hate covering up the beautiful image on the vellum, but I really liked how this turned out. And then I found a little place for that other bee circle sticker, and then you can see how this functions here. Now, I, at the last minute, decided, I think I want a pull tab. I'd like something to really reinforce the idea that you can flip this in and out. So there was another piece of paper that had kind of a book page background pattern. It had some crazy bees at the top and bottom, but I just trimmed those off, avoid the bee part. They'll be good for something else. And I'm just taking a tiny little piece here and making a tab on the heart. And that's one great thing about using the supplies that are all in the box. Most of them, not necessarily all of them, but most of them do go really well together. And I really like how well coordinated the actual paper pack was, all the different papers. And then this, since I had found this little floral paper that went with all the others, they just go really well together. So you can see it kind of up close here. There's that beautiful dandelion. That was one of my favorites there. I still have a whole dish of tons of those other papers, though. I'm going to find some other uses. They'll make great focal points for little ATCs or little journaling cards. So going back to the first double page spread, I thought, I need a little something here, and how about a little pot of honey? Again, in that brown ink. It didn't stamp perfectly. You can see on the edge there, I should have pulled in my little pad, but I'm okay with that because that's another thing where the vintage style, it's like, it's okay if it doesn't stamp all the way. It's very forgiving. And so finally I grab the scrap. Now the words are running a different direction, but that doesn't bother me. And this part's a little tricky because I want to add a little tab, but I didn't leave myself that much room on the sticky note pad above my fold there. So, and I want it to function even when the paper's folded. So I had to do a little bit of finagling and make my score line, I think, a little bit higher. So, and make my tab a little shorter, as you can see I'm doing right there, because I want it to function without hitting it. So here's a couple still shots that I've added in at the end. I really hope you enjoy seeing this process, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I've got a couple greeting cards coming up. Thanks again for watching, and have a wonderful creative day. Bye.